Okay, so welcome to our first video on chords. We're going to jump right into chords now. A lot of the time with guitar lessons and stuff, you'll play single note stuff for ages when you first start. Really, what I want you to do with single notes are those scales that we've just done. Okay, get those because they're actually theory as well, but important theory. I know we think of theory as like schoolwork type stuff, but everything I teach on theory is all related to the guitar. Trust me, it is stuff you are going to need to know. Learning to read music and stuff, absolutely learn that stuff. Do that at school. I might teach on it further down the track. It's a great skill to have. Don't be discouraged from doing that. Yeah, absolutely a great skill to have when if you want to be a professional musician, somebody needs to be able to hand you a score and say, this is what I want you to play, and you need to at least be able to decipher that. Okay, total side note, sidetracked. Okay, but we're jumping into chords. Cool, so you'll remember in an earlier video we learned E minor, okay, with those two there. Okay, so E minor is a chord that gets played different. Sometimes you'll play it with these two fingers. So just in terms of fingers, let's number them. Index finger is 1, your thumb is a thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. Except I will call this pinky, just because that's what I do, because I don't know, just used to doing that. Cool, so this is third finger and pinky. Okay, so the fingers that we use for the chord are going to be determined by the other chords that we're using around them. So if I was playing an E minor and then I wanted to go to a G major, okay, it's much easier to do that than to go like that and change my hand completely round, right? Okay, so this is a bar chord. We're going to look at these a little bit later. What we're going to do first are the open chords, which are a little bit easier to play. Cool, so E minor we learnt. So it's just those second fret A string, second fret D string, everything else can be open. Cool, so that's a minor, so that's built up from the minor scale. Okay, so all chords, for now, basic chords, unless it says that it's a 7 or if it's got a number in it, as in it's got an extra note, okay, it's going to be built up of 1, 3 and 5 out of our scale. Okay, so if it's a minor chord, it's going to be built up of 1, a flat 3 and a 5. Okay, if it was a major, it would have a normal 3. Okay, so that's E major. So all I've done there is that note there, which is an open G. I'm playing now in the first fret on that G string to sharpen that up to make it E major. Okay, so these shapes really, you're just going to learn what the shapes are. I'm getting a bit far into the technical stuff in terms of these. We'll look more at how the numbers work when we do bar chords, okay, because it's going to be much easier to see how that relates back to our scale. But when we want to learn stuff like 7s, when we talk about 9s, then we need to know this number stuff. But for now, those two fingers there, E minor, I add that one in the first fret on the next string down to make it major. Cool, E minor, E major. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll start out doing a song. So I'll teach you a set of basic chords that you're going to use in the song. So we're going to use the minor. Another way you'll see this played is with these two fingers at the bottom, so that's my pinky, 3rd fret on that high E string, next string up, I've got my 3rd finger. Okay, so when I'm doing that, I can't get both of my fingers right up against that bar at the same time. So this one here needs to sit in behind a bit, but I just want to have it as far forward as I can. So I've got it pressed right up against this other finger, okay, and that other finger is right behind the bar without coming on top of it. Okay, and notice with those fingers that they're pointed down the neck. Okay, so it's not straight down the neck because you can't get your hand around there, but generally you want those fingers pointing back this way. Okay, and you'll see E minor played like that. Okay, so what we'll do at the moment is we've got those two there, same place as we just had them, and now this next finger, the 2nd finger, 3rd fret on that low E string. Okay, and then this 1st finger, the index finger, on the 2nd fret on the A string, the next one down, and that's G. Cool, so I'll just undo that again. We'll undo it from this end. So that was 3rd fret on that high E, 3rd fret on the B string, the next one up. Okay, that 2nd finger, 3rd fret on the low E string, and 2nd fret on my A string there. Okay, so that's a G chord. You will also see this played with this finger off. Same chord. So remembering chords are made up of 1, 3 and 5. All I'm doing there is when I'm playing with this finger it's a 5. If I take it off it becomes a 3. Okay, so same thing. All the notes are doubled up anyway. There's I think 2 of everything in that chord. So it doesn't really matter. But for this particular song we're going to play it this way, also because it's a little bit harder, so why not learn the harder one and it'll make the easier one easier later on if you want to do that. Cool. So the next chord we're going to do is called a C add chord. Sorry, a C add 2 chord. So it sounds complicated, but all it is a G chord, but these 2 fingers here come down a string. Okay, so now I just want to play from that 5th string down. Okay, and that's C add 2 because it's a C chord, but it's got a 2 out of our C major scale added into it. So it sounds like we're learning a really complicated chord to start with, but it's actually quite common, quite commonly used around this G. And you'll see why when we do our first song. Okay, so those 2 just stay there. Okay, so changing between chords is going to take you a while, and the way to do it is just to play one and then move to the next. Notice how my fingers both move at the same time. Okay, so you might not get that initially. Initially you might sort of look to one then the other, but what you want to try and do is lift both off and put them back on at the same time. Okay, so that's our easy change. Our next change is going to be much more difficult, going to a D chord. So everything is going to come off and we're going to start again. 2nd finger is going to be 2nd fret on our high E string. Okay, and then we're going to miss a string out our first finger, looking in the right place, our first finger now is going to be playing the 2nd fret on the 3rd string up, which is the G. Now on that string in the middle, our 3rd finger is going to come in and play the 3rd fret in front. Try and angle that so we can see. So I've got that note, again I can't get those both right up, but just as close as I can, and then 3rd finger in there. So now what I want to do is play from the 4th string down, which is my D string. So that's going to give me my low D as a bass note. Okay, if you accidentally hit this one, it's not the end of the world, because that's an A, which is in the chord of D anyway. Okay, so it's not the end of the world, but we're aiming for those bottom 4. That's what I like to say. I'm aiming for the bottom 4. Okay, but occasionally I'll hit that one. What I don't want is the low E, because that's putting my 2 as a bass note, which just doesn't work, as you can hear. Okay, so we've got a G, a C add 2, and a D. Okay, so the other chord we're going to use for this song is our E minor. Okay, so the change to practice there, so practice changing through those and back to the G, and then practice changing from E minor to D and E minor to G. Okay, so I know this stuff's going to be hard, it's going to take some time. What happens in guitar lessons is tons of people go, yeah, I want to learn the guitar, and then they find out that it takes practice and work, but what often happens is people get disheartened really quick. They go to start changing these chords and they go, oh, that's really hard, I can't do it. You can totally do it, you've just got to practice. Everybody else started in the same place. Every guitar player that you see started in the same place. It's just a matter of working through it. And the thing I always like to tell people is the more you learn, the easier learning becomes. Okay, so now it seems like it might be a struggle when you're first starting out, but just keep at it and it gets easier, trust me.